Hi, and welcome back to Bible on Audio. We're on chapter 24, but I'm going to read 24 and 25 together, and then after that there's 2 more chapters and we're done with Leviticus. So what to pray for today? So many things, but yesterday I was watching the news and there was another shooting. I mean, when isn't there? There's one every day. But this one was in Nashville, Tennessee, with there was a 28-year-old male that went into a school and shot 2 9-year-olds, an 8-year-old, and 3 teachers. 28-year-old, he had maps, he had planned it out, he had assault rifles. And there are so many people that would argue the point that, now we're going to hear more about guns and how they kill people, and it brings up all that political stuff. Well, I just wanted to say it's still, to me, I look at it as it's just somebody else in a bad mental state making bad decisions that affect us all. And we might be one person, but we affect so many people around us. And I say that because I have been in a state of psychosis where I had a huge breakdown. And it was after not sleeping. It was after so many things had been going on in my mind mentally, that to me, what I was doing, what I was saying, everything felt so like that was my world at the moment. And this was 2 years ago. I was walking to my car. I got into my vehicle, and a car slammed into me, and I freaked out. I freaked out because so much had already been happening throughout the day. And the first responders showed up, the paramedics, and they drove me to the ER. But I freaked out again, and they dragged me outside and left me on the gurney. And, well, I'm not going to say so much on here about the story. I want to stick back to what I was saying about the mental state. It's not just the guns. It's not just that he planned a murder. It's not just that children died and innocent lives were affected. It starts with your mental state. It starts with our mental state. What are we thinking as a people? Where is our heart? What is our priority? What do we see as real? I don't have all the answers to that, but it seems today that more and more people are acting on what they believe to be true, and as long as it's going on in their mind, it's true. But what we can physically see and touch is not true. Like so it's a spiritual battle, and so you're almost already defeated, because if it's not true and nobody else can see it and they can't side with you, you're wrong. They're right, you're wrong, but in your mind you're right. What I'm getting at is this mental health stuff has to be a priority. Guns kill people. Violence is everywhere. Drug addiction is everywhere. Mental health is on the rise for children even. I have a son that has schizophrenia. I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. I've had a breakdown, 2 of them. I've had a clouded past with it doesn't paint me in the right picture. I because of where I was at in life, I used drugs. Thankfully, the 2 episodes that are very important for me to talk about one of these days in a different forum, I wasn't on drugs, but when they showed up, they were looking at me like I was just another homeless, psychotic crackhead out there that wanted in the hospital for, who knows, maybe they thought I wanted drugs. Who knows what, but I wasn't that. The good thing is I wasn't on drugs. And maybe these 2 stories, my own experiences, are going to help shed some light on what's really real. Like, people that know me know I'm smarter, smarter than some. had a great career. I was in the Navy for 15 and a half years. I raised my son in a way that I thought I could be proud of, that he had morals and we had traditions, and he respected me, he honored me as his mom. Well, he is completely different from how I raised him because of what's going on in his mental state. In his mental state, he's continuously attacked every day. For me, every day I hear voices about like how I'm not good enough, how I messed up my life, how God doesn't love me, how could I be such a whore and give myself so freely? How could I believe men that are bad for me? And who knows what this young man was thinking? And he was transgender. I think that means he was identifying himself as a her. Why are we talking about that? Why are we talking about that? 3 kids died. I don't care that he's transgender. I don't care that that it was with assault rifles. I want to know why he got to that point. Why did he get to that point where he had to kill somebody? And I know how he can get to that point. Because in your mind, you're battling, and this is from experience. I thought somebody was, out to kill me. Somebody slammed in my car intentionally. And so now I'm outside of the hospital because I freaked out in the hospital. They dragged me outside in a gurney. And I was outside all night in a hospital gown. And I didn't have a cell phone. And I was all by myself, no family, no friends. Nobody knew where I was at. And in my mind, I was in danger. Like, I was trying to get somewhere safe. I didn't want anybody that was in a uniform to see me because I knew that those cops weren't believing me, that I was the one that was hit by another car. And so who knows what I would have done if I thought somebody coming at me was going to attack me. What if I had taken them out? I don't have assault rifles. I don't have, all kinds of weapons on me. But freaked out or believing something so like gigantic and elaborate and it just sounds like, no, that can happen. She's crazy. That she's in a crazy world. Since what is she talking about? No, in my mind, everything I thought that was happening to me was true at that time, and I was acting accordingly. And I have for sure two psychotic breakdowns or mental breakdowns. And they scare me. They scare me because I have to get healthy and be able to identify what was happening in my mind as a spiritual battle, what's happening in my mind due to PTSD and like trauma and things that have happened to me that I fear every day that it's going to happen to me again. I fear every day because she would have been my daughter-in-law. They called it suicide, but I believe somebody threw her off a roof. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I have PTSD. Like, I think everybody is in danger of being, assaulted. I feel like we're in a world that you can't always trust what you hear and see anymore because of your mental state. And the Lord says, be sober-minded. Eat right. Take care of yourself. Don't do drugs. Sleep. Study, sharpen your mind, stay away from that TV that just drags you in, all these apps that just drag you in and it's just feeding you, it's distracting you. That young man killed an 8-year-old, 2 9-year-olds, and 3 adults. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to focus on. I'm interested. Are they going to focus on the fact that he was transgender, that he identified with her, that it was a Christian school? Are they going to focus on that it was assault rifles? How did he get the weapons? Like, how was he diagnosed with a mental illness? And how do we go about telling everybody that they can't have a weapon if they had a mental breakdown? So many things. We can't even fix the border issues, So how are we going to track everybody that has a mental illness and then say that they can't have a weapon? I don't know. And I don't think that was the God, I don't know. I'm scared because I am somebody diagnosed with a mental illness, and I do have a background of having had episodes, and it could affect me it does affect me being able to carry a weapon. It does affect how people see me when it comes to hiring and everything. I don't care about HIPAA. Because it's not, whether they say they're going to keep it confidential or not, it'll get out. But if all of this is due to mental illness and us not being sober-minded, when are we going to pay attention enough and stand on that truth? Like, we're going to stand on that truth that if you have a mental illness, until you prove you're healthy enough, you can't do the following, you know. We won't get ahead of it. We keep calling everything mental illness and drug addiction, and both those two things, what they have in common is that it takes away your credibility to come across as reliable. No matter what anybody says, they could be my friend, they could be my family, and we've been ostracized a lot by people I love, and I don't blame them. They got to take care of their families. They don't want to deal with all the drama that comes with Desma and her son, right? But we got to deal with it. We got to deal with what we're going to do as a society, as a people, because time is ticking and we're not ahead of anything right now. We're at war still. Now we were focusing on guns not too long ago, and now we're focusing on mental illness, and then drugs will never go away. But I'm brokenhearted for this scenario because it has so many factors to it. Like I said, and when we're focusing on all of them, how do we address each and every one of them correctly with enough attention? Which one's the priority? I don't know. To me, mental illness is the priority, because you can't get me to do something, motivate a person to do the right thing, unless you know them and know what it is that gets them ticking, gets them moving. To me, my priority is my son. I always want to make sure that he's okay, because it scares me when he's out there alone. He gets lost. He doesn't take care of himself. He's been out there barefooted, freezing in the cold, hungry, lost, on a bus, and didn't know where he's going, in a shelter. And I've had many times where I didn't know where he was and nobody to help me. So my priority is always my family. If you want to get me to do something, you tell me it's good for my family. That young man, I don't know what motivates him, but we got to figure out what's the priority in the world. What's the priority for America, so we can get Americans doing what they need to be doing, because there's so many issues. And I know I'm rambling here. I'm still going to read at least chapter 24. My priority is mental illness right now. Not just my own, but that of others, because whatever is going on in a person's mind, that's a reality. But that doesn't mean where they're sitting, where I'm at in this space, that doesn't make it true. Just because I think that I could see something like a shadow and think, that thing's been staring at me and wants to kill me. And because that's in my mind, that's my truth. And so I'm going to get up and attack it. And then I come back to consciousness, and it's as dark as it sounds, it's a toddler that I hurt. What do you do with me if I did that? How do you address it? But then how do you deal with me when I recognize I have a mental illness? I recognize that there were things that I saw as true but were not true. I'm on my medications. I feel that I'm healthier. I feel that I'm more, that I'm a little bit sharper. I know that I can count on myself a little more right now, because I need to trust what I'm thinking. I need to trust my judgment. I need to be able to do the right things for my family. And to do that, you have to be in a mental state, a healthy mental state, to take logic and reason and not run off of just your emotions and fear and what you think is happening and what you think might be happening. No, you need, yes, emotions, to have emotional intelligence, how to deal with other people and being like communion in a community together, and a good neighbor and all that stuff when it comes to being a good person in society. But you need logic and reason. I don't know how we're going to get to the bottom of this. I don't know when we are. But I'm going to pray for that right now. And then we're going to get into 24. I hope I didn't lose y'all in my rambling. But there's so much that I have to share, and I just don't know how. It's been 2 years since that incident I was talking about. And I have so many things that have happened to me that can relate to so many people out there. I just don't know how to start with do I put on a book? I've tried, blogging. I've tried going on Facebook. I've tried reading journals, and I'm missing the mark, but it could be to me that I'm just not ready just yet. but I'm going to be. And that's just to share from my own experience. Things that were so ugly that I don't feel like good enough to even be here in this world. But for whatever reason, I am still here. And I don't want to go out without my life have had a purpose, you know. And for whatever reason, I feel like I'm needed to share what I've experienced so that we can help others, because mental illness is not a beast that we're going to tackle easily. It just isn't. So please join me in prayer. Oh, Father God, I'm so thankful you are here in my life. I'm so thankful for the listener and wherever they are. I'm praying for them. I'm praying for their mental state. I'm praying for my mental state. I'm praying for our peace. I'm praying that we're able to use logic and reason, not to run off of fear and anger towards one another, but that we take time to use our mind and use logic. What's the right thing to do? I'm praying that we can go to you and before we do anything that's irreversible, like hurt somebody like that young man did in Nashville, Tennessee. It's irreversible. Those lives are forever gone. Those families are forever affected. Those poor parents will forever feel the loss. And it's not to say that we can't give you thanks, because I give you thanks that you are God, and that those people are going to be okay if they give you their cares, their hurting heart. It will never feel better. It won't ever feel right to be missing somebody. You won't ever get angry sometimes at the nonsense of a murder. It's nonsense. It's not needed. It's a murder that was for what? What did it fix? I pray for those teachers, those students, the first responders. I pray for us who are just watching the news or hearing the gossip at work or just talking about it. Lord, may we use our logic and reason, our hearts, and our time praying and hoping that you are praying and relying on you for an answer. And we move only when we know what we really should do with this thing. But I'm praying that all the right pieces come together, all the right things that we need to happen all at once do. And that we get ahead of this thing before we get lost. Before we start fighting one another, because we know how politics can go sometimes. We know how things can be blamed on another thing, that in our mind, this is my priority and this is my reality. But Lord, we're such a big people. Society is such a big melting pot of different people from different places and different priorities. And what's important to me isn't important to the next. But one thing that is true is that we're your creation. We're still lives. We're supposed to be following your word and loving one another. We're supposed to be like multiplying. We're supposed to be fruitful. We're supposed to be, you know, in a lot better place than we are today. I pray that you calm our minds. Help us be still and listen for your guidance. Give us encouragement, Lord. May we read your word and be encouraged and see this as truth. May we not give up just because the world and society is getting ugly. It doesn't mean that that's how you want it for us. And we have to remember that you've given us free will and that this is a world that we've made. And with all the factors that are involved in this ugly scenario and others like it, the one thing I know is true is that you love us as a people and that you want us to do better. You want us to come to you. You want us to love our neighbor. You want us to be compassionate and help and not fight one another, not go to war, not use weapons, there's so many things that we're doing wrong that you tell us in your word not to do, but we choose to ignore until we really, really need you. Like I know desperation can take a person. Please, Father, give me the words when I talk about this stuff, because mental illness is a topic that really gets me emotionally upset, and just I want to be reliable again. I want to be a person that has a healthy mental state. And I pray for the viewer that they too can rely on what they see and hear and what they're thinking. And if there are voices in there, I pray that they seek you and your help. They get the attention that they need. If they're dealing with others with mental illness, drug addiction, or just any type of trauma, all these things that can affect a person, pull them one way or mold them into another, let us work together to get the answers, Lord. Help us do better, Father. It is in your name I pray. Amen. I'll only read 24. If I was more polished, I'd want to keep going and read this thing to you guys in a month, this thing being the word. But when you dive into it, there's so many things going on, questioning myself, questioning my mind, questioning the stories, questioning society, questioning politics. Right now, the Care of the Tabernacle lamps is what chapter 24 it opens up as. And it's funny that we're in a place where we they're starting to set the ground. What do they say? Like let me lay down the foundation, right, so that they can be a better people. Really, and they're like, we're free from Egypt, and now we gotta like set traditions and laws and just get everything straight. And this is order now, and this is how we're going to function, and this is how we're going to treat the church, and this is how we're going to treat one another. And that's what's going on here. The care of the tabernacle. Remember, the tabernacle is the holy place, and then inside the tabernacle there's the other most holy place that only the priest can go into and offer prayers up to the Lord. And so very few would enter the tabernacle into the holy place and then to the most holy place. I don't know the order, look it up. I don't want to keep going in there. But one thing I know, the people had to start over. They just got free from Egypt and they didn't know what was going on. They probably, like us, have so many things going on. There was murders. I mean, there were murders. There was sexual things going on with the people, like they're perverse, and what they held to be decent and what they held to be allowable was different from what we think is allowable today. They dealt with it a lot different. It was just different living situations, but they were setting the groundwork. So we're still in the Old Testament, and this was setting the groundwork for those people that were, I'm so sorry, setting the groundwork for those people that were free, the Israelites that were free from Egypt and starting over. And that's what we are. Excuse me. I'm gonna turn this off. And I don't want to not keep recording because I don't want to waste any more time. But I feel like we are in a place where we need to pause and start over too. That's what's interesting. I keep wanting to skip the Old Testament and think, man, this doesn't apply anymore. And you probably are thinking the same thing. But we start over every day. So maybe we need to stop as a society and start over again. Maybe buy some more time in this world to do, if we do better. I don't know, those are just my thoughts. Let's read chapter 24, the care of the tabernacle lamps. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the children of Israel that they bring to you pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to make the lamps burn continually. Outside the veil of the testimony in the tabernacle meeting, Aaron shall be in charge of it from evening until morning before the Lord continually. It shall be a statute forever. Forever in your generations, he shall be in charge of the lamps on the pure gold lampstand before the Lord continually. So the lampstands outside of the tabernacle were ordered to be continuously lit. And who was in charge of that? Aaron and his tribe. So they had the task of taking care of the tabernacle and the holy place, the bread of the tabernacle. And you shall take fine flour and bake 12 cakes with it. 2/10 of an ephah shall be in the cake. In each cake you shall set them in 2 rows, 6 in a row, on the pure gold table before the Lord. And you shall put pure frankincense on each row, that it may be on the bread for a memorial and an offering made by fire to the Lord. Every Sabbath he shall set it in order before the Lord continually. being taken from the children of Israel by an everlasting covenant, and it shall be for Aaron and his sons, and they shall eat it in a holy place, for it is most holy to him from the offerings of the Lord, made by fire, by a perpetual statute. The penalty for blasphemy. Now the son of an Israelite woman whose father was an Egyptian went out among the children of Israel. And this Israelite woman's son and a man of Israel fought each other in the camp. And the Israelite woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed. And so they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelemith, the daughter of Dibri of the tribe of Dan. Then they put him in custody that the mind of the Lord might be shown to them for judgment. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take outside the camp him who has cursed them. Let all who heard him lay their hands on his head, and let all the congregation stone him. So that was the judgment. Found him guilty for blaspheming the Lord, and it was said that the community was stoned. Then you will speak to the children of Israel, saying, whoever curses his God shall bear his sin, and whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall certainly stone him, the stranger as well as him who is born in the land. When he blasphemes the name of the Lord, he shall be put to death. Whoever kills any man shall surely be put to death. Whoever kills an animal shall make it good, animal for an animal. If a man causes disfigurement of his neighbor, as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has caused disfigurement of a man, so shall it be done to him. And whoever kills an animal shall restore it, but whoever kills a man shall be put to death. You shall have the same law for the stranger, and for one from your own country, for I am the Lord your God. Then Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and they took outside the camp him who had cursed, and they stoned him with stones. So the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses. I didn't read ahead. I've read, just so you know, every time I read on here, I've read before, probably twice. And when you're studying, it might take more than twice. It's taking me more than twice to get it, but I didn't remember that coming. Which brings me to that. We have to decide what we're going to do when people are guilty of such things. When there's no need for evidence and trials and everything. We just know that that's what he did. We know he went in there and he shot those three. So what are we going to do right now? We should know without question what the law says. We should know without question that we're going to treat people that do this offense this way, because that is the law and that is how it's written, and it doesn't matter culture, background, what race you are, but we don't have that anymore. See how it is here? He's saying, if you kill somebody, you shall be killed. If you take from somebody, and then they should take, you have to pay for that. If you hurt someone, you should be equally hurt. Well, he doesn't go and say, but if this happened, or if you have this happen in your past. When it comes to killing and taking a life, he's very, what does it say? Curt, like very, very right to the point. This is what you're going to do. This is the right thing. I hope you stuck with me in this one. I know I rambled on a lot. A lot of these topics mean so much to me. I pray you're well. As always, God bless you and take care of one another. Bye.